9 years old when they sentenced him 13. When the ship reached Sydney Cove, a boy stolen by poverty, carried across the world. This is the journey seen through his eyes. I was small in a city that never saw me, a chimney boy climbing the dark to survive. They caught me with rags from a house on the corner and sent me away, though I was barely alive. They said 7 years like days on a calendar, but I felt the weight of forever begin. And the water rolled on where the sky touched the sea. I was only a boy, but the journey took me far from the streets where the black chimneys roar. I sailed to a land I had never seen before. A harsh voice called to me from the shadows of the deck. Boy, hold fast to life, although this world is a wreck. His face was lined with years the chains could not erase, but he shared his last piece of bread with a grief behind his face. He said the sea takes many, but it never takes the will. And his rough words held me steady when the night grew still. The ship smelled of sickness, of fear, and of iron, with men who had stories that sounded like storms. They saw I was young and they left me in corners, but some shared their bread when the daylight grew warm. I watched all the gulls as they followed behind us, like ghosts from a world that I used to call mine. And the water rolled on past the edge of the chart. I was only a boy with a frightened heart, far from the alleys where the cold nights bite. I sailed to a world on the far side of night. When we reached Sydney Cove on a bright summer morning, the light hit my eyes in a way I did not know. The trees stood like giants, the air felt like sunlight, and the sea moved in whispers so gentle and slow. But the barked orders of the Marines cut through the air, boots striking the sand with a force that made me stare. Soldiers shouted my number, telling me where to stand, and I learned that no ship had carried me home to this land. When we reached Sydney Cove on a bright summer morning, the light hit my eyes in a way I did not know. The trees stood like giants, the air felt like sunlight, and the sea moved in whispers so gentle and slow. But the soldiers still shouted and lined us in order, and I learned that no ship had carried me home. Sometimes I dream that a mother held my hand. Sometimes I dream that the world could understand. Sometimes I dream I was more than a number, but the dreams went quiet as the days grew older. Still the water rolled on in the back of my mind. I was only a boy the world left behind, far from the soot and the winter rains roar. I stood I was never ready for. If anyone asks where the child went then, tell them he stood by the water again, watching the tide as the long days pass through. A boy on the journey, the world never knew.